Hi, I'm Jared Hillam. If you've seen my videos about ETL, then you're aware of how critical this tool is for managing data. However, one of the big trends over the last few years is to have ETL delivered in the cloud. The question is, how is it that ETL could work in a cloud-based architecture when the data is so often on-premise? This video shares how this type of architecture works and how organizations are leveraging this new architecture to lighten their ETL footprint. Now, admittedly, when I heard about data integration in the cloud several years back, the first word that came to mind was lightweight. But that impression quickly changed when I learned about how these products were designed. It's no secret that the location of data is an important aspect to architecting an ETL solution. If the data is on-premise, then the data processing should be on-premise. Likewise, if the data is in an off-site data center, the processing should be at an off-site data center. In other words, it doesn't make a lot of sense to just ship raw data just to say that you're in the cloud. And when we ship data, we should try to minimize that amount of data as much as possible. So data integration in the cloud isn't just some magic place to toss all your data into. Rather, it's an application architecture change. So to explain this, let's first talk about how traditional ETL products were designed. Traditionally, ETL tools followed a three-tier architecture. This means that they were split up into three parts: the design interface for the user, the metadata repository where all of the settings and content live which the user created, and the processing layer, or the location where the data gets crunched, whose definitions are adopted from the metadata repository. All three of these layers were part of a single package and were designed to work within the four walls of your organization. To cloud enable these platforms in an on-premise scenario, the two functions of user interface and metadata repository were taken to the cloud. However, the processing engine stayed on-premise. So when the processing engine was supposed to operate, it would receive the appropriate commands and information from the cloud metadata repository, and it would run that data movement routine on-premise. This allows the data to live where it natively is rather than requiring all the data to move to the cloud. Now, when something needs to be run in the cloud, then another engine in the cloud can run that data in the cloud. So in other words, the storage and design of the ETL movement are hosted by the cloud ETL vendor, but the engine that processes the commands can sit in multiple locations. Now, some vendors have perfected these architecture options to be completely software-driven. Intricity helps organizations in architecting these mixed premise deployments. I recommend you reach out to Intricity and talk with one of our specialists. We can help you architect an environment that makes the most of its integration platform as a service while balancing your data movement footprint.